Hey, everybody, welcome. It is week 4. Sounds right? Yes, week 4. Um, in English 1101, and I want to go over what we're working on this week with you. And the biggest thing that we're going to be starting to work on is conducting research. So there's a lot of good materials in this week's learning module, so please make sure to check those out. But I'm going to go over some things with you as well. One of the biggest mindset changes that you may need to do for ENC1101 is to embrace doing the bulk, if not all, of your research using library resources and not going to Google. I use the internet for research all the time. The internet is, of course, a wonderful source for all kinds of things. But when it comes to writing academic papers, you really want to be utilizing strong academic sources. And of course, that's part of what we're learning this week is about information literacy and how to know, what is a good source and what is not such a great source. So if we look at the schedule this week, that's our topic: college research, information literacy. Your assignment is a quiz. It's in the quiz format, but it's an information literacy skill drill that is due, of course, next Sunday. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the module and show you kind of what is in there. But we're gonna spend the bulk of the time today looking at the library. So in week 4's overview, of course, we're learning how to define information literacy and use Valencia's library. There is a reading assignment in the our online text, chapter 14. There's a video about information literacy. This is my own personal video. You're watching it through YouTube, but it's made by me. And then we have the learning activity reminder, of course, that you should be weekly doing some review in the grammar text just to kind of keep up with that before the grammar test that comes later. That comes later in the semester. So mostly what I want to focus on today with you is using and how to use the library. So when we are searching for materials using Valencia's library, it's going to feel very much the same as it does when you Google something, because as you see here, we clicked on the library, we signed in, and we come to a page that looks very much like a Google page, maybe not as flashy, but there's a search bar, and you can certainly use the search bar. One of the cool things about libraries is that they are designed to help you find information. So I want to point out some things on the homepage here, such as Ask a Librarian, research guides, the library's homepage, locations and hours. We do have actual physical libraries that you can go to as well. And there is a whole bunch of video tutorials. Never be afraid to use the Ask a Librarian or to chat with a librarian. I will tell you, when I was in graduate school for my English degrees, I relied very heavily on the librarians because they know, like, they've literally studied how to find information. Much of it, now that we do all of our searching, most of our searching online, is kind of self-service, but sort of like taking an online class. It's important to remember that there are real people in the background, like me, and like our librarians, who do this and have studied this. So one of the things I want you to keep in mind is that you should never feel like the library, quote unquote, doesn't have anything about whatever topic you're researching, because I swear, and I know, and I promise that they actually do. So sometimes it's just a matter of search terms, using different wording for things, or reaching out and asking for help. So you notice the search anything bar is really going to search anything. If we type something in here, we're going to be looking at results that include books, that include videos, websites sometimes even pop up, screened websites pop up. There's a lot of times you'll get what's called a research starter, which is a great resource that will lead you to other resources. And what is most useful for us in researching for research papers is articles. There are articles from newspapers, magazines, and academic journals, as well as trade publications and all kinds of other stuff. You'll be learning about those in the video lecture. You can target certain types of journals, certain types of articles through more detailed searches. So we have the ability to search anything right off the bat. So I'm going to just start with that. And of course, there's a librarian wanting to help me even as we speak. Our first paper is on social media, and I've got another class that is working on social media things right now. So I'm just going to put in the term social media. Now, that's a very general term, and you will notice that when I search that, I come up with 1.5 million results. We've got whole books on social media. This book is available online. So even though it is an actual book, you would be able to find this online and use it without ever having to set foot in a library. This book, on the other hand, it shows you is available at Valencia East. So that is where you would check that book out. Now, I will tell you, if you're closer to a different campus, you can do what's called interlibrary loan. So never feel like you have to drive somewhere to get the book. You can certainly request it be sent to the campus that's closest to you. But you'll notice that in the results, it's all books here at the top. There's one journal, but most of them are books at the top. And typically when you're researching for a paper that you're writing for a class, you don't have time to read a whole book. Now, that doesn't mean you should ignore books. They're fantastic. And so definitely feel free to utilize books. The nice thing about electronic books is that they are searchable. So it's not like you have to read the whole book. If there was a particular topic you wanted to look at, you would be able to search those. In order to view and cite the books that we're seeing, I'm going to click on the title, and it will show you where to view it online. It'll say this one is in the Sage Skills Business Full Annual Collection. You've got a link to it. You got the basic information that you need to cite the book, and you can even email it to yourself. When I'm doing research, I like to find a whole bunch of sources at once, and not really dig that far into them. So a lot of times I'll email myself. You don't have to do that, but it's a nice little helpful thing. So if we want to look at this book, we click on the link. And I'm sorry I sound like this. I'm starting to get a cold, and you can hear it. So I apologize in advance. But time will wait for no one. Sometimes library sources do take a little while to load, so be forewarned about that. But here is the book. And so different databases that contain ebooks look different, but they all have some similarities in that you will see here's a button that you will love. This is the button that helps you cite this book. So when it comes time to put this book on a works cited page or a references page, you can click on this button and you can choose which type of citation you need. Our first unit is going to be MLA, so we would change over to MLA, and all you then have to do is copy this. You can even just click the copy to clipboard, If you're using a particular system like Reference Manager or RefWorks, you can also export it. I just put things straight in Word, so typically I would use the copy to clipboard. So if we want to then read the book, we can read the book. We can search for information within it, and each chapter we will click through. There are also videos contained in this, which is kind of cool. You can, in many cases, you can have these actually read to you. There's kind of a voice recognition thing. You can download it. You can also, of course, just get a link and save it, share it with yourself. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this information. So I want to go back to the search because I want to show you articles. So books are great. But most of the time, like I said, you're going to want to be looking at articles because they're more, they're shorter and they're more manageable. So I'm going to come over here to the refine my results. I'm going to click on the resource type. I don't know why that's not expanding. Okay, I don't know why it's not expanding. But you should be able to specify that you only want to look at articles. I think something is going on with the library. But let me show you another place that you can go specifically to target articles. You can target articles in here. In fact, let me just go to the next page and see if we've got some articles to look at. When you are searching for articles, typically you are using what is known as a library database. Here's a video that you can use. Those are always fun. So we can target articles by using one or more of the library databases. And you'll notice that, yeah, we've got so many books. Okay. You'll notice that up here, there is a link that says databases A to Z. So I'm actually going to click on that. And there are, there's a list of the popular databases and most frequently used over here. I will tell you that for ENC1101, using a fairly general database is absolutely fine. So the three that I would suggest for you will be Academic OneFile, Academic Search Complete, and Opposing Viewpoints. Opposing Viewpoints specializes in argumentative topics. Social media has some arguments about it, but I'm going to click on Academic Search Complete. It's my favorite, just general database. I find it useful. So we're going to put in social media, and you notice that social media and mental health is one of the main topics. That is what we're going to be looking at specifically in the first paper. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. It's a little bit more targeted of a search than just social media. And I do want to limit it to full text. I do not necessarily want to limit it to peer reviewed, although you will sometimes have to do that. The difference is in an academic journal, other researchers have reviewed that and are, these are going to be written at a higher reading level. There's videos included in here. And let's see if we get most of them, kind of like the books, are at the top are all academic journals. But here's one that when it just says periodical, typically these are more in what we consider popular periodicals or magazines. So if you specify that you only want peer reviewed, you will only get those academic journals. Notice also we can limit it to certain types. I don't know that we need to go back to 1974 to research social media. I would say even just the last 5 or 6 years is probably going to be sufficient. And that brought me down to 2,800 articles. I can also limit it by the type. So I'm going to click on magazines because when we're writing at the kind of 1,000 level, we really don't need super elaborate, fancy academic articles. You are welcome to use them. They are going to be longer and more involved, but they also may be written at a very high level. The other thing that's true about them is that oftentimes they are based on a study. So it's just like kind of raw data and things. So I'm just going to pick this first one. You notice that we have HTML full text or PDF full text. PDF, it will be a scanned image. I like that because we can see the page numbers, we can see all the stuff. That's going to be helpful when we go to cite quotations from it and things like that. But I want to show you where to get that citation first. So we're going to click on the title. And here the cite button is over on the far right. And we will again be using MLA for our first paper. So we can scroll down here and we can get this, copy it, and paste it into our document. Now, I will say that sometimes you have to make some changes. I would not leave the all caps for the person's name. And sometimes these italics for the journal title and the database title won't copy over properly. So sometimes you have to make some changes to it. But this is the citation that you will be using. All right, so let's go to the article itself. And all we have to do is read it. Now, this is only a 2-page article, but like I said, sometimes that's the kind of thing that you're looking for because it's a lot easier to digest. So if we were going to use this source, we could email it to ourselves. There's all kinds of things over here on the side. You can email it to yourself. You can put it in a folder to save. You can get the links. So find some way to save it for yourself. Honestly, though, every time I find a source that I even think I might use, I use the citation button and I save that MLA citation or APA when we're in that unit. So that is how you use the library. And most importantly, like I said, do not be afraid to ask for help from me, from the librarians. Don't be afraid to actually go physically to one of the libraries and work with the people there. They'll be able to help you in person. And sometimes we need that personal touch. So those are your lessons for this week. Enjoy working on the skills drill. I will talk to you guys next week if I do not talk to you in the meantime. But as always, reach out if you have any questions.